my name is Lauren. Today I would like to talk with you about the Sami and how their religious worldviews have changed. There are three patterns we see when a dominant or more widespread culture comes into contact with a smaller, more isolated culture. We call these three patterns of cultural conflict rejection, absorption, and syncretism. Rejection is when the dominant culture eliminates or discards the smaller one. Absorption is when the dominant culture incorporates or swallows up the smaller one. Syncretism involves the uniting of opposing views by finding ones that don't conflict. When looking at the Christianization of the Sami in a purely historical lens, we see that rejection is the main pattern. However, intentional or not, that wasn't the only trend at work. What I am arguing is that after looking at pre-Christian Sami religion, mythology, and folklore, in comparison to post-Christian Sami literature and art, we see signs of cultural syncretism rather than just rejection. Trude Fondland and Siv Ellen Kraft, experts in Sami shamanism, describe the transition to Christianity by saying, "The old Sami religion never actually disappeared, but lived under the guise of Lutheranism. Similar ideas of hidden yet unbroken traditions and continuity with the past proved important to the development of the Sami culture." Here's how we're going to do this. First, I'm going to talk about what we know of the pre-Christian Sami religion. This will include looking at secondary sources and one of their old folk tales. Next, I'm going to examine some examples of post-Christian Sami authors and artists. In doing so, I hope to show how certain elements of pre-Christian culture are still in use. Let's dive right in. Since the Sami didn't really have anything in the way of written records, we mostly have to rely on secondhand accounts in order to find out information of how their belief systems worked before they became Christian. We call this period the drum time. That's a reference to the Sami drums. Towards the end of the drum time, more and more missionaries began to interact with and record the habits of the Sami. Lappland was a 35-chapter-long book about the Sami that was written in 1673. To read an excerpt of his book, "Having seen the rise and origination of Lapplanders, we come now to speak more distinctly of them. The Lapplanders worshipped, especially those whose help they stood chiefly in need of to perform their businesses, as gods of hunting and preserving their cattle from wild beasts, such and the like. Others, probably they neglected as useless, because they were neither plowing or sowing. But I cannot say under what names they worshipped them, because I can find nothing certainly thereof, either in ancient records or modern customs." Now, in many ways, Sepphoris equated the Sami, whom he called Lapplanders, to ancient Romans and Greeks. However, their belief system extended far past gods and deities of the sort. Based on what we've been able to gather from various sources, I found two themes of the Sami worldview and religion I'd like to focus on. The idea that life goes in circles, and the dynamic between the seen and unseen aspects of the world. Keep those two in mind as we proceed. Everything connected and looped back around. The Sami conception of time was based in nature. Animals followed yearly migration patterns. The Sami people migrated alongside of them. The 8 seasons, winter, late spring, summer, late summer, autumn, late autumn, and winter again, repeated themselves every year. Let's look at a story that utilizes this pattern. It's a poem written by Jabez van Schef that summarizes a piece of Sami folklore. "Before time, there were few men there, and the women were even fewer. A man put his arms around his woman, their blood blended into one. The mother suckled her offspring, gave the child washing, caring, feeding. The baby kicked and rocked the cradle, got his father's strong sinews, muscles, got his mother's good sense, balance. The ancestor of the son's own sons. The boy child launched his vessel, takes with him the best of all men. The wind takes the sails in its hands, pushes the boat between islands. The pegs keep the wooden shell tight. Its rudders and tillers turn it. The south wind guides it, carrying way beyond the moon, still changing way beyond the sun's shining ring. Far away your eye can behold the blind old giant's fair young maid. She is the blind old man's support. She washes his clothes by torchlight. She beats and rinses and dries them, smooths them and folds his shirts for him. Every day she makes herself sweet, puts fragrant grasses by her breast. Her eye searches the far horizon. She catches sight of the traveling sun. For the sake of time, I'll summarize the middle of the story. The son of the sun meets the daughter of a giant and falls in love with her. She taunts him and says, "Oh, my dad and my brothers are going to eat you." But he explains that he's just looking for a lifelong companion. This makes the giant's daughter swoon hard. They go to her father and ask if they can be married. The giant taunts the son of the sun more, says that he's going to eat him, but finally he sees that he's got some pretty strong fingers and agrees to the match. The son of the sun and the giant's daughter get married. Then the giant's sons find out about this, and they aren't too happy about this match. There's this epic boat chase across the ocean, but finally the giant's daughter and the son of the sun get back to where the son of the sun is from, the world, and then the actual sun shines down onto the brothers and turns them into stone. To finish off with the last part of the poem, on bearskin and reindeer doeskin then laid the bride of the sun's own son. The bride would now become a Sami, human-sized like you and me. She took an axe from her own chest, to make her own doors wide and vast, to make room as the earth for her son's sons' sons, then gave birth. In many ways, this story ended the same way it began, which is something that we see a lot in different Sami folklore. This shows the theme of circles. It starts out with the blood being blended in the birth of the son of the sun, and it ends with more children, the Sami, being born. Now on to our second theme. The living and inanimate, the physical and non-physical, all made up equally valuable parts of the whole. It was believed that when people died, they didn't really leave. They dwelt in a parallel upside-down world with their feet against those of the living. To die was just to wander in this other version of the world. They remained a significant part of the cosmos, influencing it like any living creature. One way they exerted their influence was through Saidi, or sacred Sami sites. I dare you to say that 5 times fast. Sacred Sami sites, sacred Sami. Anyway, these Saidi were considered centers of concentrated power. Such power was caused by spirits of ancestors in combination with different unseen helping creatures that the Sami could appeal to. The Sami believed that they could interact with these natural idols, either on their own or through the help of the Nawaji. How can I describe the Nawaji? I got it. Okay, so think of this material world of the living as one line. Now think of that upside down parallel world like another connected line. Maybe the world where the deities, gods, live as a third line. The Nawaji serves as a node, or an elbow, between these worlds. They are a human who lives in the Sami community who can interact and communicate with other realms of existence. They act as a translator of the will of the deities, the ancestors, and the unseen helping creatures of the natural world. So as you can see, the Sami view of the natural world has a lot more depth than just what we can see, hear, and touch. All of these elements have a critical role in the cosmos. It's time to take a look at where we find these themes in post-Christian Sami culture. Now, it's only fitting that we start our look in this period by examining the works of Johann Turi, arguably one of the most, if not the most, influential figure in Sami literary history. His book, mythology, was the first book about the Sami written by a Sami. At the beginning of the book, or at least at the beginning of the English translation of the book, Turi states, "I've been thinking that it would be best if there was a book in which everything was written about Sami life and conditions, so that people wouldn't have to ask how Sami conditions are, and so that people wouldn't misconstrue things, particularly those who want to lie about the Sami and claim that only the Sami are at fault when disputes arise between settlers and Sami in Norway and Sweden. And there, one ought to write all about the events and furnish explanations so clearly that anyone could understand. And it would be nice also for Sami to hear about Sami conditions as well." The 5th illustration in this book is the one I really want to draw your attention to. Here he depicts a winter camp. We see a church and a churchyard. There are reindeer pulling sleds, and the people are heading to church. What's so fascinating about this illustration is how Turi plays with the idea of the seen and unseen. I'd like to draw your attention to the figures drawn much lighter than the rest of the image. Here, Turi is representing those who have passed away but still remain part of the area. Some ghosts or spirits stand by the church. 2 of them are headless. There are also ghost reindeer walking beside the dog down here too. Turi's use of finer details here provides an excellent example of this philosophy of the duality of the whole we've been seeing in pre-Christian times. Now, moving a bit ahead in time, for my second and last source, I want to look at The Night Between the Days. It is a book written by Allo Gaup, and it is about a man who wants to make a Sami drum. The book starts with the main character and his wife, girlfriend, significant other. It's not really clear. They're heading north to get to the house where they're going to be staying for the winter. Gaup states that they have thousands of miles behind them, and they are almost there. He then ends the book about 500 pages later when the pair of them, are heading down south again, by saying they have thousands of miles ahead of them, a long way to go. They're essentially starting the book in the same way they ended it, with a journey. And this is also alluding to that theme of circles that we've been seeing in pre-Christian times. I hope I have demonstrated enough how certain elements of the Sami life have continued on past the Christianization of the area. This goes to show just how integral and important these certain ideas are for them to have survived so long and through so much. Thank you so much for watching my presentation. Here are my sources if you're interested in learning more. Have a good day.